All right, here we go. Good afternoon. This afternoon, I have the honor and privilege of interviewing Paul McGrath, who's going to share his experiences with us all. He served on the USS Cochino and has spent how many years as a submariner?
24.
24 years as a submariner. So we have a lot to talk about.
When I was a seaman and retired as a lieutenant commander.
Wow. All right, when did you go in, Paul?
I joined the Navy in August of 1946
Okay, and why the Navy?
because I met a blind man.
Because what?
I met a blind man.
Oh,
His name was Ingalls.
yeah.
He lived in Whitehall, New York, and he was discharged from the submarine service during World War II because he was aboard a submarine that was depth charged by Japanese destroyers
Oh my
in
good.
1942,
Mm-hmm.
and they sprung a saltwater leak in their battery well, which salt water and battery acid don't mix too well.
Oh my good. And so it was a caustic.
Yeah. And he, being a first class petty officer, he was the first one down the hatch to try to isolate the leak. And he ran right into a cloud of chlorine gas,
Oh my
which
goodness.
immediately made him blind. But he stood in that hatch and prevented anybody else from going down there until they got their oxygen breathing apparatus on. So he saved some lives just
He
by.
sure did.
And he told me that he had been in submarines since the 1930s.
Wow.
And if he could get his eyesight back, he'd be right back on that submarine.
And because of his bravery and his story, you wanted to be on a submarine.
Right.
Wow. All right. Now, when you enlisted into the Navy
Right.
in 1946, were you able to, at that time, state your preference for serving on a submarine? How did that work?
I put my request in just as soon as I joined the Navy.
Okay. And where did you go for basic training?
Great Lakes.
Great
Illinois.
Lakes. Okay. And was it in the middle of the winter? Because I've heard. Oh no, you were in spring.
Summer.
Summer. Okay.
August of 46.
6. Okay.
Then I went to school there,
All right.
electronics technician.
Should. Okay.
And that was about 6 months, eight months, something like that.
Okay.
And then I went to Washington, D.C. to the Naval Research Lab to school.
Wow. Good for you.
So the first 2 years I was in the Navy, I was in school. And then I went to the submarine school.
Okay. And where was that?
It's a sub-base in New London.
In New London. Okay, great.
I began my career there, and I ended my career
Right
there.
there. Now you were serving when the Nautilus was commissioned.
Oh, of course.
Of course. And was that 54? Somewhere around there?
51, I think.
51. Okay. What was that like? It must have been so much excitement.
Well, I went into the nuclear power program as an officer, as a chief petty officer.
Okay.
Electronics technician chief, and then I got a commission, and I stayed at S3G at Saratoga for 4 years,
Okay.
working for Admiral Rickover.
Oh my goodness, Hyman Rickover. Oh, wow.
There's pictures of him.
What was he like?
Everybody has the wrong idea about him. He was not a politician. He was
Okay.
he was a very direct individual. But if you were doing things right, you didn't have to worry about your back.
Oh, that's one.
He took care of it.
Oh,
He saved mine several times.
wow. In your career as an officer, did you find yourself modeling him in the way you dealt with the people you were?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I was not a politician either.
Okay.
I was very direct and very. I enjoyed being in the Navy. But one of the things I found that I liked very much in the Navy was I liked to teach, classroom teaching. In my last 3 years in the Navy, I spent at this officer submarine school at New London, teaching the young officers how to operate submarines, taking them to sea for a week at a time.
Oh my goodness.
And really enjoyed myself.
Good for you.
But then it was, I was nuclear power qualified. I had my qualification license as signed by Admiral Rickover.
Oh,
And I could have gone to work at an atomic power plant and made some money, but, or go to EB.
yeah,
made some money.
at that point.
But that wasn't my purpose in life. I wanted to teach. I enjoyed teaching. So I applied for several teaching jobs in high schools, but I couldn't teach in high school because of the certification
Mhm.
requirements.
Okay.
You had to go to college, a teacher's college. But I taught physics at Yale University for 17 years.
Oh my goodness! Oh, that's
Can you imagine that?
oh my goodness,
I
that's
was-
wonderful.
I was the supervisor. Of course, I couldn't be a professor because I didn't have a college license, but I was the supervisor of teaching support for the physics department for 17 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, where did you grow up?
Whitehall, New York,
Whitehall, New York, which is
right on the southern tip of Lake Champlain.
okay. Very good. And what brought you to Clinton? Was it because you were in the subbase?
Yeah, because we're Clinton, exactly halfway between Prospect Street and New Haven, where I worked in the physics department.
Oh.
And the front gate to the base.
This
where,
sounds like a very logical mind at work here.
My wife liked to go to the base for the services at the base.
Yeah.
At that time, we had all the medicals
Mm-hmm.
at the base, prescriptions, everything. Then we went to, she's known in Clinton.
Right.
She's an artist.
She is a talented,
Yeah, artist.
beautiful artist. Yeah.
Guess where she started her education in the art field?
At Yale?
Scotland.
In Scotland. Oh my goodness,
Spent-
whereabout?
We spent 2 years in Scotland.
Where?
In Dunoon, Scotland.
Oh, how wonderful.
And they had an art school there. That's
Yeah.
where she studied art for 2 years
Oh, how wonderful.
while she was while we were over there. So my Navy career was great. I talk to young people today about military because I tell them to get in the Navy, submarines especially, because you don't get shot at.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go. Your stealth. Your stealth. Now, I have heard that serving in a submarine requires the most mental fitness of any position in the military.
That's
Could you
true.
comment on that?
Well, you go through a whole series of mental tests when you enter, when you're accepted to go to submarine school. You spend about 6 weeks talking to psychiatrists, and they want to make sure you're not subject to what's the name of that?
Claustrophobia,
Claustrophobia.
panic, yeah.
And one of the at that time, one of the first tests you had was your deep dive test.
What's that?
They put you in a bell and dropped you into a diving tower.
Yeah.
Remember the big diving tower they had for the subbase?
Yeah.
Shoot. And the water's coming up,
Oh my goodness.
and
That's,
but it's pressurized inside, so the water only comes up to your chest.
okay.
But there's 8 or 10 other guys in the same bell, so it's very crowded. If you're going to have any problems with claustrophobia, they'll show up there.
All right. And you were 19 or so then?
I was 19.
You were 19 then. Oh my goodness.
I graduated from high school that same year.
Oh wow. Was that the first time you'd been away from Whitehall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And so, all right. In the course of your service, particularly on submarines, maintaining contact with your family and communications, what was that like? Did you have
At
to
that
wait till you
time,
resurfaced in
yes.
order to get mail?
Yes. It's not that way now.
And what's it like now?
Well, we used to send email to my grandson,
You
who
could.
was a graduate from the Naval Academy And
Your
moved in-
grandson.
Chris McGrath. He
Wow.
lives out in San Diego now.
Okay.
He spent, I think it was 7 years, and decided it wasn't for him, and resigned his commission and got out, and went to work for I forgot what company it was. It's a big company in the West Coast,
Mhm.
San Diego. He lives
Okay,
in
San Diego.
He married a girl from San Diego. They're happily married, been married for
Good.
about 5 years.
It must have been thrilling for you to see him graduate from the Naval Academy.
Oh, we were there.
Oh, yeah.
We went down there.
Oh,
for his
wonderful,
graduation.
wonderful.
Yeah, my grandson.
Oh, excellent. And do they do the cross swords? Do the midshipmen? I mean, there must be a lot of ritual to the.
There is ritual. I don't remember it.
Okay.
You're kind of overwhelmed.
I bet you are. I bet you are. When in your service, especially in your younger days and so on, how long a period of time would you be submerged and cruising around before?
See, I served on diesel electric submarines.
Okay.
So we had to surface, charge batteries,
Okay.
on a daily basis, just about.
Okay. And when do you remember getting when you were able to surface for good and collect mail and packages? Do you remember
yeah.
any goodie boxes that you got from home that?
Well, I remember mail from my wife. That was
Okay.
the main. I didn't care about the goodies.
You just wanted to hear from your wife.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And what her character to be a Navy wife is?
But her character, I'll tell you, while I was going to sea on submarines, what she was doing, she was raising 5 boys,
Wow.
and all those boys are successful,
Excellent.
all successful.
Excellent.
All 2 of them are retired Navy.
Oh my goodness.
My oldest,
Yeah,
he also retired as a lieutenant commander.
he
He
did.
went into the fireman and machinist mate on surface ships.
Okay.
Daniel, number 5 son, is living right now up in Maine. He retired from the Navy. Yeah, I went to his retirement.
Oh wow.
He's been retired now for about 5 or 6
Okay.
years. So he's
He
doing
was
fine. He's
be-
married and yeah.
Beautiful. And how many grandchildren do you have?
Well, we lucked out with the grandchildren because we had 4 females
Oh,
grandchildren,
okay.
and 4 male grandchildren.
Very
Then
nice.
we have 2 great
Oh,
grandchildren.
good.
One's a male, one's a female.
Perfect. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. What you were mentioning something when you were living in Clinton and you could go to the sub base, you could go to the area there and get medical prescriptions and so on. Have you had to have contact with the VA hospital or anything?
No. See, I'm retired from the Navy.
Yeah.
And as the Navy retired, I get, of course, my age now is I'm 88.
Wow, you look so
And,
good.
And I'm still exercising
Good.
as much as I can.
Good.
I had a stroke this June, which slowed me down a bit.
Wow, it
but-
doesn't seem evident.
But I'm still going
Good.
well.
Good. Good.
And we are looking at the possibility of moving into what do you call it? An
Is
assisted
it?
living.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one
Is
up
it-
in Haddam.
Okay.
That one, so Saybrook and Haddam.
Oh, I've seen that advertised. Yeah.
We've looked there. We've looked at the Gables
Mm-hmm.
in
In Guilford.
and we think possibly to make it easier, because it's getting to the point where even cutting the lawn is a major job.
Sure. You brought some books with you.
Yeah.
I would love it if you could show us the picture of you as a 19-year-old.
Which one?
That one, I think it's in the back of that book.
You can tell this is just a copy of a book.
but still, it's, if you could hold that up, that's just wonderful. You are at work.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
And then, you see, I've got written down here the name of the guy behind me,
Oh,
Kenneth Deasto, a
Oh,
very good friend.
very
He
nice.
was also an ET.
Okay.
Worked on the-
Yeah, tell me about your buddies, the people you met and that you are still in contact with, or
Oh.
were part of your life. Or,
Yeah, well, we were having reunions every year,
good.
the Cucino and Tusk reunions,
Mhm.
until 1999 was the last one,
Okay.
because there's only 18 left.
Oh,
out of-
yes.
out of 2 crews,
Wow. And how many people were on a crew at a?
so between 90 and 100.
Okay.
And those, like on the Cucino crew, the only ones I know that are still alive are myself, Chuck Cushman, who's in this picture here.
Uh,
I can show you.
Okay.
Where are you?
Oh, look at this.
Chuck Cushman is right up in North Zone.
Okay.
Where are you? There we go.
Oh, good.
He was already an officer,
Okay.
and he's right.
Right in this. Okay. Okay. And then there you are there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful. Now, the title of this book, Blind Man's Bluff, The Untold Story of American Submarine Espionage.
Well, that's because you don't have any portholes in submarines,
Okay.
so you're always blind.
Yeah.
The only visual contact you have with the outside world is through the periscope.
Right, wow. And so what about the submarine espionage? So you were you're traveling on...
Well, we'd been up there for 2 or 3 weeks, and we were photographing surface ships and recording their electronic emissions
Okay,
and their sound emissions
Emissions.
from their propulsion systems.
and during what years?
During the whole Cold War.
Oh, through the whole Cold War,
Yeah.
okay.
The Barents Sea was one of them. See, why would we be up there? Very simple. The Russians took the whole German U-boat fleet up to their naval base up there in Murmansk.
They did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They had about 400 submarines up there.
oh my goodness, and so the
So-
spoils of war,
Oh, yeah.
they got the
Well,
U-boats.
at that time, the intelligence was that if the Russians were planning on a nuclear attack, they would get those submarines out of that area because it's blocked. There's only 2 deep water routes that they could go on out of the Murmansk and
Okay.
Barents Sea around the tip of Norway.
Yeah.
And so there was always 2 American submarines up there listening and watching.
Oh, wow.
And if they saw submarines coming out of it, they would, of course, send a message
Yeah.
straight to Washington.
Yeah, oh my. And about how many submarines, like, were there then in the fleet, and how many are there now?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I'm trying to, there were about, at New London, the days of the diesel electrics,
Yeah,
at the submarine base, there were 2 squadrons. Each squadron had about 8 boats.
okay.
That's about 16, and then Squadron 10, which was down at State Pier, had another 8. So that's 24,
Okay.
about 24 boats.
And were they all constructed in Connecticut? Was that the only site where submarines were
EB,
built at EB?
mostly EB, yeah.
Mostly EB, okay.
Of course, there was some built in Newport News,
Okay,
Virginia, at the Newport News Shipbuilding and
All right.
Hire Company. most of the submarines were built at EV.
Okay. Now, when you traveled, and when traveled, that's the wrong word, in your tour of duty and so forth, when you
Patrol,
you were on patrol, and then when the patrol was over and you were on land, what countries were you able to visit, and what was that like for you?
We made trips to the Mediterranean, and the last trip I made over there was the 1960s. About 5 months we were over there.
Oh, okay.
And we went to Greece
Yeah.
and Italy, Spain, France.
Oh, my goodness.
Visiting.
Did you go to Mallorca and?
We went to Crete.
Oh, good. Oh, I bet it was beautiful.
Oh, those are beautiful countries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of history there.
And did you bring Joe back? Did you go?
Oh no, Joe wasn't with me.
No, I know, but did you ever travel back there for a
Oh, yes.
vacation or just see
One
it?
of the things we did when I retired from the Navy
Yeah.
and got the job at Yale,
Yeah.
I invested in these timeshares, and we spent 20 years traveling all over.
Oh, wonderful.
We went all West Coast, East Coast, and it was amazing because we were looking for one of the things we were looking for, of course, was a perfect place to retire.
Yeah.
Where did we end up?
In Clinton, Connecticut.
You know why? A lot of people don't realize it, but Clinton, Connecticut, weather-wise, is one of the best places on the earth because you don't have heavy winters.
Right.
Like in Whitehall, New York, I can remember, one snowstorm overnight would be 3 feet of snow.
Wow. Oh,
3, 4, 5 feet of ice on Lake Champlain.
yeah.
In fact, I knew the guy who had the record for losing cars through the ice. His name was, maybe I better not mention his name. But he was somebody I knew.
Oh, my goodness.
He liked to ice fish, and he had these little huts.
Yes,
They
right,
used
to
make
put it,
holes
yeah.
through the ice. And he lost 5 cars through the ice.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
It wasn't one, of course, once it went in the lake, it was gone. He had the record.
Wow.
I
Wow.
won't tell you his name.
Just to make him anonymous, yeah.
Well, his family still lives there.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh. Now, when people say to you, they thank you for your service, how do you feel when that
A little bit
happens?
embarrassed, because I enjoyed it so much.
Okay.
You know, it's not like being in the infantry. I was in the infantry in World War II. I joined what they called the Home Guard. It replaced the National Guard.
All right.
When they sent the National
Guard
Guard to war.
war.
Whitehall had an armory building with people who, the 2 guys in charge of the enlisted personnel were 2 sergeants retired from the Army, and they were running the Home Guard
Okay,
based on
yeah.
their experience. I learned how to dig foxholes and
Oh
live
my
in a pup tent
Wow.
and eat
K rations?
K rations and ready to eat.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I don't think I want to. I don't want to do that for 25 years.
You made a good move, Paul. A good move. A good move. Spending so much time and having it be an exact fit for what you loved and your skills, obviously, the way you rose in rank and the responsibility and experiences you had. What about how the Navy functioned made it work so well for you?
One thing a lot of people don't realize, what's the easiest way to get kicked off a submarine?
Fighting?
No,
No?
Lie.
Ah,
You cannot have anybody aboard a submarine who tells lies. Some people have a tendency to tell lies to make themselves look better.
yeah.
You can't do that in a submarine. When you're at 1,000 feet, somebody says that valve is closed, it better be closed, because at 440 pounds per square inch, a half-inch leak will cut you in half.
Wow.
You know, so you don't stand for anybody who tells any kind of lies. They're gone.
They're gone. Wow, what an interesting.
So you have to be very forthcoming and very trustworthy.
Yeah. And so because
It's
of
like
that.
living with an extended family.
Yes. So you're living in a very trustworthy situation because
Yes.
and so that's
Yeah.
that's important.
Mm-hmm. And it was, I just fit in very well.
Good.
So, of
That's-
course, I was brought up by my mother and grandmother. I could speak French before I could speak English.
You could
Yeah.
because you were so close to Canada. I mean, were they
My
from?
grandmother was from Canada.
Okay.
And if I wanted a cookie, I had to ask for it in French. If I didn't ask for it in French, I didn't get
Get
it.
a cookie. Okay. All right. That was smart. That was.
So
smart.
I can still understand French. I can't speak it because I don't have the correct accents.
Uh-huh.
And I've lost a lot of the knowledge because I never spoke French.
You didn't have to do that. Yeah.
And it's funny how things work out.
Yeah.
Very funny.
All right, if you could, to sort of wrap this up, what story from your experience do you love the most about something that happened to you?
My education,
Okay,
the education that I achieved, I got in the Navy. My boys, the other boys,
yeah,
you know what? They all have degrees, but you know what they're making their living at? What they learned in the Navy,
wow.
not on their college degrees. This is why I'm kind of disappointed in the area of education in the United States, because college degrees, rather than teaching people how to do things, college degrees are always pointed at the reason why you're doing something. Not actually
Doing it,
accomplishing.
yes.
And that was very obvious in the Navy too, because we had officers, for instance. I had an executive officer who was a full commander, who I had a problem with the radar system that I was working on, and I went to see him because he was an electronics engineer graduate from the RPI.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to see him, and I told him hi.
Hi.
I told him what the system was looking
Yeah.
like. And he says, I have no idea what to do. He says, you give me a book, I can do the math and so forth.
Wow.
But I can't tell you anything about pieces of equipment.
Oh,
And that's where
yeah.
I think I've been a little bit disappointed with college degrees.
And so.
And that was very evident at Yale too. Because for instance, I fixed all the equipment.
For the physicists, the people who were studying to be physicists.
Yeah. Well, they were far above me in their knowledge of math and so forth.
Yeah.
But when it came to practical application
Okay.
of fixing equipment, measuring things, so forth, I was better than they were
Yeah.
because of my background in
Background.
the Navy.
That's that's wonderful. It's what a life, Paul. You've had such a good life.
Oh, yes, yes.
It's wonderful.
Uh,
Anything?
sorry.
Okay. Any final words?
Yeah, I'd like to live as long as possible in my life. Paul McGrath.
Ron?
Ron Frattini. This is my partner, Ron, and let me